All right, my lovely. So you guys, y'all are blessed with two ramblings of a mambo this week. I want to talk about godparents and godchildren in the spiritual community because I've had the great fortune. I've had people who reached out to me and they're like, "Oh, I want you to be my godmother. I want you to be my godmother," and I'm always like honored, really, to the point of, "Oh my God, are you serious?" Because to me, it's such a major decision for somebody to even make, to even choose a person to step into that role, because it is a very important role. You're taking on something that literally somebody is saying, I want to grow spiritually with you. I want to walk a certain path with you, and I want to learn from you. And I always felt like when you choose that person, it's something where you're like, we're going to learn together at some point. So I really kind of felt like taken aback by a few messages that I got this week, and I was like, oh, we need to talk about this because it's a very important thing. I used to tell Spirit all the time, and I'm being completely honest, I do not want godchildren. I do not want godchildren. I've been taking care of people my whole freaking life. And at some point, it's like, okay, I want everybody to grow up and be able to take care of themselves. I don't want to take care of other people. Um, and that's part of a role of a spiritual godparent, is that you do step into that. So I was like, I don't think I'm in a place where I'm ready for it. And Spirit was like, mm. And I think the thing about Spirit is sometimes they have a better understanding than we do. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to say that anymore. I'm just going to say, Spirit, I'm going to be open. Bring the people that are supposed to be in my life into my life, the people that I can help, the people that can help me, because there is a connection that is reciprocated when you join in to that community. And Spirit was just kind of like, we'll see. And I kind of been floating in like that. But I wanted to talk because I think that is such an important decision when you're looking for that particular person to fill that role. I shared the story before with a lot of you. It took me 5 years to find my papa. And it wasn't because I wasn't trying to connect with other people. It was like I was trying to connect with other people, but circumstances, um, personality conflicts, even different conflicts with belief systems always came into play. Um, there's a lot of navigating out there when it comes to choosing a godparent, because there's a lot of riffraff that is thrown into the mix. I mean, you come across people that say they're initiated and they're not. You come across people that tend to be predators, whether it's for money, whether it's for sex. And we talked about this on the Tea and Tarot, which I'm going to upload with Jay Bell. I think it was a couple of Saturdays ago, where we've had people that have literally gone into spiritual organizations and been used and abused. I mean, it happens. This is not something that's new. A lot of people have a ton of stories out there, and for a lot, there are even well-known godparents that are out there that people have these underlying stories about that they don't put out there. So people, we don't know that. We don't know when we approach these people where there could be problems at. And I think it's because the community kind of tries to protect people and they don't want problems for people. So with that, you have to kind of take your time to navigate, because you don't want to connect with people and then find out later that, oh, this is not where I need to be, especially when you invest a lot of time and energy and money into connecting with a godparent. Now, I will say that it's very rare that you tend to find godparents that are like in your backyard. I mean, like if you live, like I live in Texas, are there Ugans and Mambos here? Yeah. Are they the ones that maybe you need to connect with? Personality clash, things that weren't moving in a direction that I thought, or even not just having a connection with these people, made it to the way that I had to go out and look. And I think we should expand our horizon. If you're looking for something simple, um, the Spirit may say, look, you may get blessed and lucky and find that person in your state, in your city, and that's amazing if you do. But for a few people, it doesn't exactly work that way. We are spread out, so we have to kind of travel out. We have to kind of put time and energy into it. And a lot of times, the only connection that we have with finding people is through social media. And that's how I found my papa. I saw him on somebody's page. And the good thing about it was that he did have a name, he had some type of status. So I was able to go in and Google and find out a lot of information about him prior to meeting him. The thing about that, though, is when you're relying on social media to connect you with a godparent or a person that you want to be an elder or a mentor, you're only privy to what you see on social media. So you have to kind of venture out of your comfort zone, whether this is going 30 minutes down the street, whether this is going 2 hours down the road, or for some of us, whether, it's, 5, 6, 7 hours. For a few of us, we're even connecting with godparents or elders in other countries where we got to travel out for that. So you have to be willing, first of all, to make that commitment. And you have to go into it open-minded that for you to connect with the right person, you may have to travel out to take classes with these people. There's certain things that you're just not going to get with the online presence. You're going to, at some point, have to meet up, which is really good because it's important. You don't really know people until you spend time with them. And if it's even possible, it's preferable to spend time with them in ceremonies where they are presenting themselves, especially if you're looking for somebody with a title, somebody that's initiated. You have to go to fests. You need to go to misas. You need to go to parties where people are connecting with spirit, because you need to see how they interact with their other God kids. You need to see how they interact with spirit. You need to even, get the vibe, get the energy of the organization or the house or the tradition that you're going into, because that's going to be your spiritual family. And that's really important. A lot of times people focus in on the godparent or the elder, and they forget about the other people that are going to come with that. And I have to say that I did. When I focused in on my papa, there was no research into his other God kids, into the other people that were going to be there. So I realized at some point, you got to go to a fete. You got to go to a fete and you got to meet some people. And the first fete that I went to, literally everybody was there. So I was able to see a lot of people that would become my God brothers and sisters and uncles and cousins and all that, things like that, which was amazing. But I had to venture out of my comfort zone to do it. And it's important that you do it. You have to spend time with people. A lot of people who come to me that expect my online presence to be a little bit different realize that I'm pretty much the same. What you see on here is what you get. But there is a lot more of connection, emotional, with me one-on-one than you will get on here, because we have this barrier. I can only show you so much. But when you're around me and you're able to break bread with me and you're able to really, have the conversations with me that you want to have, you kind of get a depth of where I can go, what I can teach, and if this is something that you're interested in or even something that you're connected to. And it gives me, as a person who possibly is connecting with a godchild, to see what they're about, to get the do we have the chemistry? Is there a connection there? Will we be able to grow together? Because that is important. We get a lot of times people that are like, well, I can buy my way into a house, or I can spend money to do this, and you can, but you won't get the connection that you need. You'll get the title, and that's what a lot of people tend to do. I want to get initiated because I want to be called a Mambo or a Nugan, and once I get that done, you never hear from them again because they got what they wanted. But when you are looking for a godparent in voodoo, and you realize that spirit is the primary focus of this, the spirit kind of gives you the guidance of, okay, you need to do this. You need to learn your prayers. You need to know how to work this. You need to be able to connect with us a little bit deeper. You realize that you need that person to be available to you. And for that person to be available to you, you need to be able to feel comfortable to talk to them, to spend time with them, to develop a connection that is like family, where I can talk with you with anything, because there's going to be moments where I don't agree with what you're doing. And I need to be able to feel comfortable enough to say, look, I don't like this. You don't get that if you don't connect with a person. And if you are spending time with somebody that you can't talk to, that's a red flag right there. If you're spending time with somebody that you feel like you can't be yourself with, or you can't open up to, that's a red flag. I always tell people too, when you're looking for a godparent or a mentor, an elder, divination. You need to look into it, whether you pull cards or you have somebody else pull cards, or they look at pendulums or crystal balls, whatever it is, whether spirit comes to you and talks to you. We have a lot of times where spirit will guide you to a person, and you still need to do the research. But I feel like, even for me, if I was taking somebody on, I'm going to divine on you, because I need to know what you're about. I need to know why you're coming in, and I need to know what your connection with spirit is going to be, because that's important to me. A lot of organizations, societies, traditions, houses bring in people that sometimes don't have the best interest at heart, and it becomes a poison, and it starts to break down a family. So when you're bringing people into your community or your groups or your organizations, you want to make sure that these people are coming in for the right reasons, and sometimes you need to divine on that. And I feel like, even with a godparent, you know, you got to look into it. And a God person, a God child that wants to come in and connect, you need to divine too. You need to have somebody look into this person and say, okay, this person is spirit filled. This person is moving in this direction, because that way you get a lot of the riffraff out the way. If it doesn't connect to you, it doesn't connect, you push it to the side and you move on. It's a very important decision, because when you make commitments with these people, this is normally lifetime commitments. Very rarely do you want to connect with a godparent and have to pull away or walk away, even if you outgrow them. It's one of those things like raising my own kids. I always think about it this way. At a certain point, I've raised them up to where they're going to go on their own. They won't need me as much. You know, they're going to go on to new teachers. They're going to go on and meet other elders. They're going to go on and grow and evolve. But I want the connection to always be that they can always come back to me, or we could always have that conversation, or we could always have that friendship, that unity that comes out of it. So I feel like that even when you're choosing somebody, you have to realize too, at some point, that even if you outgrow what this person is bringing to the table, that doesn't have to be the end of the relationship if it was cultivated in the right way. There's a lot of elders and mentors that helped me get to point B, and then they were like, this is as far as I can take you, and now I'm going to introduce you to this other person, or spirit is going to bring this other person in. And I had to move forward, because we had reached that impasse where it was like, okay, it's time for me to take it to the next level. I still have connections with all those people. They still cheer me on, root me on. They watch my back, and it's one of those things that I feel like is really beautiful, because it was a relationship that literally was cultivated. It grew, and it merged into something where there's a friendship, there's a love there that you know that won't ever go away. A lot of times, I think with people, when it comes to a godparent, people expect that unity, that connection. And to do that, you have to put time into it. You really have to find somebody that the chemistry is there, what the connection is there, and that it's spirit led, not something that you just want. We can't choose people because of status. We can't. A lot of people do, but that doesn't mean that you're going to grow, because you might deal with somebody that literally has a status, but they don't teach, or they don't want you to grow. And we do have issues where we have people with egos. We all have that moment where it's like, you know what, I only want you to go so far because I need you to stay under me. And I think when you're looking for a godparent, you don't want that. You want somebody that's going to say, you know what, I want you to grow. I want you to excel. Even with my biological kids and my spiritual kids that come to me, I'm like, look, I need you to be better. I need you to learn more. I need you to grow. Surpass me. That's what I want. That's, to me, that's a legacy. She taught me this much. And I can always look back on that and appreciate that, but she sent me on when it was time for me to move forward. So you need to be with somebody who is really invested in your growth. Somebody that wants to see you do better, even if it's not with them. Sometimes, what is that saying? We walk with people for a season. And sometimes when you deal with spiritual families, it is that connection where, look, you got me here, and now I need to move forward. But I still want to have that connection with you. I will say, when you get caught up in situations where you feel like you're being held back, you feel like there's any type of abuse, whether this is verbal or emotional or spiritual, that you have to look at those red flags. A lot of times we tend to overlook it because we don't want to see it, because we want to believe that everybody in the spiritual community is about spirit. Not everyone is. So you need to take the time to make sure that not only are you compatible with the person that you're hoping to mentor under, or you're hoping to connect with, that you look at this person realistically. You take them off whatever pedestal that you have them on, and you're like, you look at their faults, you look at the flaws, because you need to see that, because that's what you're committing to. And I think a lot of times when we see things that we know are not going to be for us, we tend to try to connect out of loyalty or codependency, and that's not the type of relationship you want to have with a godparent. I don't want to have anybody that feels like I need to think for them. I don't want to have anybody that feels like, you know, that everything is supposed to revolve around me. I want something where it's a reciprocal relationship. I give to you, you give to me. We connect on that level, and we have to have spirit in the midst of that, because that's how we're growing, right? That's the goal that we have, so that we become spiritually strong together. Now, please take the time to have communications with even people in the houses. Sometimes we choose people and we have that connection, and then we get into things and we start hearing things. Well, you got to watch out for this person or whatever. Not only do you need to know who your godparent is, but you need to look at the siblings that are going to be there too. Are these people that I can get along with? Are these people that will have my back? Now, we got to be honest. Not everybody's going to be 100%, kumbaya in spiritual houses or organizations. We got different personalities. I might not like you. You might look funny to me. But the thing is, when it comes to serve spirit, you have to make sure that you're on the same accord, because that's what you're there for. Doesn't matter if I don't like you. We still have to serve spirit together. But I think the most important thing is that if you're going to put yourself into that environment, you want to be with people that you connect with as much as possible. Like I say, you're not going to get along with everybody, but you got to figure out if this is some place that you could be. Now, when we look at godparents, a lot of people, will tell me, well, how many god kids are you planning on having? Like I told you in the beginning, I didn't plan on having any. My ideal would be one, but spirit may have something different, in store for me. But when we deal with a godparent, we have to realize that we're not the only one. I've seen people who have had 3 godchildren, some that have 15, some that have 20. I've seen even a person I talked to, I think it was, 4 years back, and he was saying that he had over 100 godkids. So you realize when you come into a situation like that you're sharing this person, you're sharing this experience. Not everything is going to be about you. You're growing as a house, and at some point you should learn to work as a house. But I feel like a lot of people that come into it and feel like it's going to be a one-on-one relationship where they're supposed to push everybody to the side and focus on you. You're going to be, you're going to have a rude awakening, because it doesn't happen like that. It is a family. And just like with a biological family, if you have other siblings, you realize that there's going to be moments where you're going to kind of put to the side because this other sibling has a problem or it's something that needs to be addressed. So if you come into this system and you're not really want to share, and you feel like you want to, have the focus on you, it's not going to be an only child type of environment, because you're coming in with a lot of other people that are trying to learn and grow with you. And if you're very lucky and blessed, you're going to end up with siblings that want to see you grow, that want to push you to that next level, that are going to have, that connection with you, so that when you can't get to your godfather or your godmother, you have siblings that are going to, hold you up and help move you to that next level until that godparent can come in and address whatever it is that you need to be addressed. You have to be very patient with the growth when you're dealing with a family. A lot of people think when you talk about spirit that, we don't have any problems, that it's, namaste, kumbaya. Dysfunction is, it follows, whether it's in a biological or a spiritual family, it's there. You're going to deal with people that have mental issues. We have disorders. We have personality disorders. There's a lot of things that may have to be dealt with that you have to take into account too. And I know it seems like a lot, but I want to give you guys the truest version of coming into an organization or a house and choosing a godparent, because these are things that you really have to put into play. You can't just choose somebody because they look nice or they look cute or they have status. You have to really look at the bigger picture of it, because when you make that commitment to spirit, these are your people. These are your people. You're telling spirit that I'm going to work with them, I'm going to grow with them, and I want to be elevated with them. And this is our house. This is something that you're building together. And that's why I say when it comes to connections, you have to make sure that you're comfortable where you're at. If you go to an organization, to a party or a fete, and you don't feel comfortable, then that's probably not going to be the place that you need to be. Don't force it. Even if you have people there that you already know, blind loyalty can really trip us up sometimes. It's because, I want to be with this person and they're in this house, but you realize that the house as a whole may not be for you. At the end of the day, you have to let spirit guide you, because they know what's best for you. And if they're telling you that this is not for you, it's not for you. Don't try to force it, because it could end up being something really miserable. That's how you get a lot of people that come out of their houses and then they end up talking about everybody and everything in it because they weren't happy. It never was supposed to be their place anyway. Are there bad seeds? Of course. That would be with anything, in a biological family too. But when it comes to choosing a mentor, an elder, or a godparent, there's a lot of things that you have to look at that are very personal to you. Will this person connect with me? Are we compatible? Are they connected to spirit? The knowledge that they have, is that something that's going to be beneficial to me? Is it going to help me grow? And if you're dealing with people where you're a little bit lukewarm on that, or you're not really sure, then you may have to kind of go back to the drawing board. And that's what happened to me a lot of times. It was kind of like, you're checking your list. So they have this, they have that, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you get down there and it's like, damn it, that's a deal breaker. And I got to start over. And then you go to somebody and you've heard promising things about them, and you're like, okay, I really want this to work. I want to like this person. And then you have that conversation and you're like, oh, damn it, it's a deal breaker. Or you go to somebody and you're like, I want spiritual counsel and I'm looking for a godparent, and they try to touch your boob and you're like, oh, fuck, that's a deal breaker. There's certain things that you come across that you just know, and you can't, when you see it, you can't unsee it. You have to be very honest with yourself. No matter how bad you may want to move in that direction, it is not the direction for you. I will say, always connect with your ancestors, with your spirits, and tell them what you're looking for, because they will guide you. They really will. There were so many people that I could have connected to on this journey, that spirit was kind of like, and then they kind of left it up to me to say, no, it's not for me. And then there were times where I didn't want to hear my ancestors, because it was like, I really, really like this person, and it seems to be easier, the path that they're taking, and that's what I want to do. And spirit was like, no, hell to the no, that's not the path that we want you to take. So what they did was they helped me navigate a lot of things that I thought I wanted, things that I realized I didn't want, and then things that were not good for me when it came to looking for a mentor, an elder, or a godparent. And I kind of came to a place where it was like, okay, is this going to work? And I got so much positive guidance with it that it made me realize that I needed to move in a direction. Is everything going to always be perfect when you connect with a spiritual house, organization, godparent, mentor? No. There's times where you come to impasses in the road where it's like, you know what? I appreciate you for everything you've done for me, and now I need to move on. Because it literally is about growth. It is about connecting to spirit, and spirit doesn't want you to be stagnant. They want you to open yourself up and expand and grow, because you have things that you have to do. You got shit that you have to do. And if you're not with a person that's helping you get there, then what are you doing? So I will say, take your time. Definitely, it's not something that needs to be rushed. I know people, and I felt the same way. I'm running out of time. I got to do this. I got to find this person, or else how am I going to connect to it? I think sometimes it's simplistic. Things that are worth having, you may have to wait for. You may have to, give it a little time, and it may happen for you later in life. But I feel like when you're dealing with a connection like this, and you're committing to spirit, and you're committing to a person and saying that I'm going to be there, then you have to make sure that this is what you really want to do. Hindsight, I think there's so many things when I was on my journey that I would have just written down and said, okay, don't do this, and then it would save me doing it 2 or 3 times down the road with other people. I think one of the things is about life you live and you learn. But I will say that when you're looking for that connection, you have to make sure that it's spirit guided, you guys. 100%. Don't jump into something that you feel like is not going to be right for you off the get go. Don't even be afraid that if you attach to this, that you have to stay there. If there is a negative situation that comes up and you feel like you can't connect with it, you can't work it out, then that's your sign. You've gone as far as you can go, and now it's time for you to move away. These are for people that are looking for other mentors. You know, you have some people that are like, you can't jump from people to people, but I feel like here's the thing. If you deal with me and I've only taken you as far as I can take you, I gotta let you go. I can't hold on to you. You have to move to that next person. You have to move on to that next level. Some of us will be very fortunate to find that godparent or mentor that you will have for your full life. And I have some that have been with me for years that I still communicate with. But there have also been some people that I've had to disconnect with because our vision or our path was different. We came to that fork in the road. And it was one of those things where it was like, I love you for everything that you did to me, but now I need to move on. And you hope that the person sends you off with a blessing because that's the way it should be. But be really confident in your stance on what you want, what works for you, what do you need, what is going to complete this journey for you. Because if you're not, you tend to end up kind of getting caught up with the riffraff. Put your paper down. This is what I need. This is where I want this person to be. This is what I want to learn. This is the path. And you need to check that off. There's nothing wrong with trying to manifest the mentor, the godparent at all. There's nothing wrong with it. When you put things down on paper, it really kind of keeps you focused on what you really are looking for and what's important to you. And it helps you bypass a lot of the bullshit out there. And trust me, there's a lot of bullshit out there. But if you put your ancestors first, if you put it on paper and you manifest, if you go and take the time to visit and communicate with the community that you're trying to become a part of, you put that effort into it, I feel like it's going to help you put you in the right place that you need to be. All right, you guys, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I've been through a lot with mentors and godparents and trying to figure out the right way to go. And so no question is off limit for me. If you feel like you need some guidance, hit me up in the comments and I'll do the best I can. If I don't know it, I'll send you to somebody else who does. All right? Love you guys.